real quick, I know we are supposed to be talking football here. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers to everybody that's living in Florida, that's living in North Carolina, especially those of you in the Tampa area. Um, this is a very category 5 storm. I can't remember that since I was for many years. So anything like that. So that's what's going on right now. They just had some terrible storms out there in North Carolina as well in Asheville. Unusual that part of North Carolina gets storms like that. Um, so thoughts and prayers to everybody out there. Uh, it's sad what's going on. I'm not going to politicize this too much. I try not to do that. It's horrible the way they're being treated. Absolutely horrible the way the people in North Carolina, in particularly, were treated for the storm with FEMA. That was disgraceful, guys. Do better. Do better. Do better, FEMA. Do better, feds. Do better, state. I haven't heard any of them doing it. It's just terrible. So it's bad enough when you have something like this, and then to get to treat it by the feds like that is just terrible. So, but our thoughts and prayers to everybody out there in that situation that is going through that. I know a lot of you Raven fans, and not to football that too much, but the Ravens are going to be in Tampa next week. Wonder how that's going to work. So, yeah, let's go down to business. Feeling good about the win last week. That was one of the better games we've seen all season. Um, Ravens 41-38 over the Bengals. The Ravens obviously get their third win in a row going into Cincinnati. That was as good of a football game as you're going to watch. I'm glad we got the good result, but that was close. Could have went either way. Ravens actually pull it out in overtime. The GOAT, Justin Tucker, kicking the game-winning field goal in overtime. Also, to kicking a 56-yarder. Beautiful. I've seen him do that so many times. I said that in the post-game analysis. Seen him do it so many times. Kicks it. He knows when he goes to Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, that's on the water, the wind right there. Kicks the ball on the outside of the upright. He knows it's going to spin back and go through. Beautiful. All right. For those of us that was worried about Justin Tucker, he was fantastic in that. Overall, uneven special teams, but we'll get into that as well. Lamar, S on the chest, standing ovation still. Lamar, that was fantastic. That was about as good as I've ever seen a quarterback perform in any game on any team anywhere. That was otherworldly. 26 for the numbers don't even do it justice, and the numbers were fantastic. 26 for 42, 348, 4 touchdown passes, 12 carries for 55 yards. That throw to Isaiah Likely late in the game where he's tackled, right? Gets away, spins away from Sam Hubbard, stiff arms him, still gets away, going out of bounds, throwing a dart in the back of the end zone to Isaiah Likely high to where only his guy can get it. Turns a massive loss into a touchdown. That I mean, that was the best throw. I think one of the I don't even know how to quantify it. That might have been the best throw I've ever seen from a quarterback anywhere. Maybe one of the best throws I've ever seen, athletic plays I've ever seen from a Ravens quarterback. Terrific. Lamar is really now back in the MVP conversation. That was outstanding stuff by Lamar. As we all know how good Lamar is, but that was terrific stuff. Derrick Henry, relatively quiet up until overtime, and he had that huge run. 15 carries, 92 yards, 1 touchdown. They're really utilizing him in the red zone. Not too mad at the way they used Henry in this one as well. This one was more of a reason. They were trailing most of this. So the fact that they went away from the run, they had to play catch up, they had to throw more. I kind of understand that why. And then when they got in the overtime, got in the short yardage, they used him. He had the big carry. He is a home run hitter despite his size. That's kind of always a loss. Like everybody talks about the stiff arms and all that other stuff. This guys do not catch him from the backside. Like it was really tough. So he was I think outstanding. I am going to keep saying this, though. The right side is still terrible. Everybody's kind of gotten off that. I've kind of noticed still. Like, but what they're doing, but what they are doing is they are masking it. So that's good. So Falele, as bad as I think he's still, they're using Kolar more. They're using Max Protect more. They're using Ricard put in front of. So it's not as thing. But even still, with all that on the right side, they can't get anything done. A lot of it is on the left side. A lot of it's up the middle. But Henry was terrific. Best game, I think, as a pro, maybe yardage wise, I think, for Zay Flowers, 7 receptions for 111. Lots of passing yards, so a lot of people got to eat in this one. I thought Flowers, look, you can do both walk and chew gum at the same time. You can get Flowers, his catches, you can get him involved. I do think they still, to me, don't make enough of a concerted effort enough to get the ball to Zay Flowers, get the ball to Mark Andrews. That's just the way I think. Andrews, by the way, also was better in this game as well. Andrews, I think, have definitely stepped up as far as getting his catches. That was the best I've seen him look catching the football, obviously, all season. I do think, though, the Ravens do not, and this is, I think, just the John Harbaugh philosophy of not doing that, not forcing the guys or making guys throw, or getting guys in the ring. He kind of always has the answer at the podium. Well, that's the way the game went. Blah blah blah. To make an effort to get guys, you can do that in the flow of the game. You can do that. Make sure that you get Fowler some touches. This guy is a real receiver. He's not just a gadget guy. You don't have to just use him on decoys. So good job by Zay Flowers and the whole receiving core. This was obviously more catches, etc. Defense concerning. Back end has really not played well. The Bengals scored 38 points. Roquan, I think, was pretty good. I think Roquan he was kind of stuck out the most. He had 15 tackles in this one. They're doing okay. They're giving up a lot of yardage. I think they're like second to last in the league in passing yards. They're stopping the run. They're leading the league in run. Teams are not running the football. I think that they're in a real big challenge in this coming game we're going to talk about. But they are really stopping the run. Teams are not getting a lot of rush yards against the Ravens at all. I think that's part of what's going on with the passing. I think the safeties have not been good. In particular, Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson have really struggled. I think there's definitely a issue there. The corners, I don't think have been that bad. I think they've had some tough luck. I don't really see them getting torched on the outside, on the one-on-ones, etc. when they're doing man-to-man. I think they actually do better, frankly, when they're doing man-to-man. I think the zones all there seems to be a lack of communication in zone. And they keep running zone. I think that's some of it too. I think I would try and maybe run a little bit more man in certain situations, be a little bit more aggressive because they seem to do fine when they're more aggressive in man-to-man. But we'll see. That's kind of not the way football is played nowadays. But Roquan, I thought, was terrific in this one. I think Roquan's been terrific. Trent Simpson's been good too. Trent Simpson's been really good. I was really impressed with him. Very good football instincts that Trent Simpson has as well. I just talked about how great Lamar Jackson was. Joe Burrow matched him perfectly. This is not the situation where we used to have win these type games where they have to come from behind, win a shootout. Not a lot of those, like as far as us, as far as the Ravens go. Matching the outstanding quarterback on the other side. Absolutely did. Bro was fantastic. Two errors in this game. Lamar late in the game with the fumble. That cost the Ravens, just about cost the Ravens in overtime. The missed field goal by McPherson and the interception from Joe Burrow to Marlon Humphrey. That was a killer for them. That probably cost them as well. Obviously, they wound up on the losing end. Burrow was terrific. I got nothing else for you as far as Burrow. Burrow is not the reason that they're 1-4. Burrow was fantastic in this game. Did everything he could to go ahead. They scored. He scored 5 touchdown passes. Like there was nothing he did in this Burrow was fantastic. No more Joe Mixon there, Chase Brown. Not a lot of run game. Not a lot of run game. They traditionally, even when they had Joe Mixon, didn't run the ball enough. Chase Brown, 12 carries, 46 yards. Zach Moss is there. Yeah, they're not doing too much on the ground. Teams are not really doing too much on the ground against the Ravens. Outstanding day for Jamar Chase. He was off the meter. 10 catches, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. Everybody had a problem with Chase. Chase was just running in that middle of the field. This is what we're talking about with Marcus Williams. He was he was pretty much just running away from him the whole game on the middle of the field. Chase, I think, is definitely, to me, in the conversation for best receiver in the NFL, right up there with Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, right there. Definitely one of the better ones in the league. Ravens, first few weeks have had some tough covers here as far as that. T. Higgins also, I thought, was good in the game. This receiving core is not quite what it was. I don't think Tyler Boyd is gone. And they do have some issues, I think, on offense. The offensive line really I didn't think played well at all. Burrow had a good day regardless, in spite of the line. But offense, I think obviously isn't the problem because Burrow was there. The Cincinnati defense didn't have a good day either. Obviously, they gave up 41 points. Trey Hendrickson kind of was contained, I thought, fairly well. I think they did a good job. No sacks for Trey Hendrickson. Did get one from Hubbard. He really seemed like he was more in the face of Lamar. I just talked about the throw that was just Superman stuff. Hubbard did get the 1 sack. They really didn't do well at all. Their back end, I don't know what's going on with Logan Wilson. He doesn't look like the same guy to me. Cam Taylor-Britt, their secondary. They let Jesse Bates go a few years ago. Von Bell, they brought back issues on the back end as well. Pass rush not as good. They need their edges really to play well in Cincinnati all the time to have success on defense. I've seen that a lot with them. When their edges really play well, and they often do, then they have a good defense, they have a good day, etc. But when their edges are contained, it looks totally different for them. So that is the game. 41-38. Bengals lose to the Ravens. Ravens were victorious in this one. I thought this might be the best game of the year in the NFL so far. Outstanding stuff in terms of that. This Ravens team now, I would say, before we get to the next game here, is an offensive team. This is not a defensive Ravens team. This is the number 1 offense in the entire NFL. This is a team that is excellent. Number 1 rush offense. Passing offense is as good as I've ever seen for the Ravens, despite all their problems. They're getting 200-something yards, over 200+ yards a game in the air. So this is a offensive group now. Defensively, I think there's work to be done. I do think the back end has been a problem here. Some of it, I do believe, is the competition. Look, facing really good receivers. I mean, you've had the Kansas City offense. You had Rashee Rice. Then you had Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Chase, Jamar Chase. So you've had some of the best receivers in the league in the first few weeks. So we'll see how that goes. But we got a game this week. If you're from Virginia and you live in Virginia, you know. Like, this is probably bigger to people outside of Baltimore than it is. But up here, I've been hearing it all week from Commanders fans who are now the 4-1 Washington Commanders coming down to M&T Bank Stadium to play the Baltimore Ravens. NBC apparently wanted to flex this game into Sunday night because they got 2 teams with losing record, the Giants and the Bengals on Sunday. So we'll see. They didn't get to flex it, so whoever's getting to watch it, so you're going to have Tony Romo and Jim Nantz calling this one, the CBS 18. And this is going to be, if you went past this game, Raven fans, when you started, you shouldn't. This is a much better Commanders team than what we thought maybe at the beginning of the year. A lot of people thought beginning of the year. Lamar's back in the MVP conversation. No surprise. 4 touchdowns last week, 9 for the year, 9 TDs, the 1 interception, 1,206 yards passing for the year. Outstanding. I do like this too. For the first time in a long time, not the leading rusher, right? Since he's been here, we've had good run game, but he's been the leading rusher. That's not the case. Derrick Henry is the NFL's leading rusher, 95 carries, 572, 6 touchdowns. Derrick Henry's been terrific. I almost want to say I didn't even realize how the big runs, how that's been missing when we had J.K. Dobbins and Edwards, and like consistently how many of these he gets. I've seen that a couple, like just these long big runs he's breaking off. So Henry's getting his carries, he's eating. Outstanding by Henry. I think it's a nightmare for these guys to try and cover both of these guys, cover Lamar, cover Henry. Even with the run stops, he had a historic day passing, so it's very difficult for those guys. 24 receptions, 269, 1 TD for Zay Flowers. Getting more Zay Flowers involved, getting more Mark Andrews involved. I think they're going to throw the ball more in this one. They're going to have to. They're going to have to score a lot of points. I think this is going to be an offensive game here, both sides of the ball. You're facing a really terrific player on the other side as far as the quarterback. I think they're going to score. Zay Flowers, I think, is a good receiver. I think all this gadget stuff that they need and all that, they don't need to do that. This guy can run routes, get open, get separation, has good hands, good physique for catching. He's not real tall, but he's kind of reminds me a little bit of that Steve Smith, Tyreek Hill, solidly built type guys. You know, he's not undersized in terms of his body type, etc., where he can make tough catches, get his hands on the ball to go ahead and get that scored away. So good. One of the league leaders, top 10, Roquan Smith, 50 tackles. I think the inside of the defense has been solid. I think it's because of Roquan. Trenton Simpson, I mentioned, has been really good, has been solid. I think the tackles have been outstanding. I think when you talk about even last week, even with different guys, Broderick Washington last week I thought had his best game I've seen him have in a while. With the way that Travis Jones has been playing, well. Michael Pierce has been playing well. Obviously, Matabuke, I thought, too, also had his best game, my man. I thought he was terrific. Matabuke's been causing all type of havoc. He hasn't been getting as many sacks so far this year at the start, but he's been really making a way here at the start. So, again, interior of the defense is good. Just got to get the pass defense to go ahead and catch up. This guy's phenomenal. Jayden Daniels. I think this guy has been must-see TV, as they used to call it. Jayden Daniels, 1,135, 4 TDs, 2 interceptions. His passer rating and percentages are just, I mean, who passes for 80+% all the time? It's just, wow. This is Lamar Jackson 2.0. I'm very comfortable saying that. Not quite the passer Lamar yet is either in terms of all the throws he can make yet, but he has a good decision maker. That's the thing. He makes good decisions out there throwing the football. Running the football, he's outstanding as well. I think he's every bit very similar to Lamar. Very similar to Lamar. I mean, this is a very interesting to see how the Ravens defense does in the actual game. They're used to practicing against him, but how the Ravens defense does in the actual game against a guy like this, that's very similar. It's what's really surprising me with a rookie is how accurate of a passer he already is early on. So shout out to Jayden Daniels. Austin Ekeler was there. They got in the offseason to be the running back so far. Brian Robinson Jr. has been their leading rusher. 73 carries, 325, 5 TDs. So he's been probably their leading rusher. Ekeler, they're kind of in a rotation. This guy is the bruiser. Okay, so if he runs in between the tackles, shoulder to shoulder, likes to run over people. kind of reminds me of a bigger Isaiah Pacheco, if that makes sense. Marion Barber does not shy away from the contact. That's for sure. He's gonna not. I don't know how well that's gonna fare against this good Ravens run interior, but that's what you're gonna see with Brian Robinson. Here's a guy. He can bounce outside, kind of one cut. He's not gonna dance around a lot, but that's what kind of is not gonna shy away from the contact. Kind of run right into guys. Best receiver Terry McLaurin, probably feel good for him because he's finally got a quarterback here. He's been a good receiver for years, kind of in the midst of kind of some not so great quarterback. And McLaurin off to the great start, 23 receptions, 303 yards, 2 TDs. I wouldn't put him in the elite category. He's probably in that next tier down. So see how the Ravens receiver handle him. But definitely this is the guy in the pass game that you have to go ahead and look at as well on offense as far as throwing the football. They spread it around a lot. They don't really focus on, kind of like the Ravens, they don't really focus on one guy. His percentages, you see a lot to the backs, a lot to Austin Eckler, a lot to, they're not going to just have one receiver catch a lot of ball. I mean, McLaurin's is a good receiver, having good years, but they kind of spread around a lot. Bobby Wagner. The middle linebacker matchup is incredible. This is actually a low number for Bobby Wagner, who's actually 35 years old. So good for so many years. Definitely one of the leaders on the team as well. I would say is getting older as well, but I think Bobby Wagner is a dog. He's outstanding. Bobby Wagner almost signed with the Ravens a couple years ago in all season. I think it's very interesting. He almost signed with the Ravens. I think the Ravens wanted to sign him. I think they offered him the most money, but he chose to sign with the Rams. So that didn't happen. He winds up signing with the Rams during the season. The Ravens during the year wind up signing Roquan Smith, trading away. Rest is history. Bobby Wagner had signed here. That maybe doesn't happen. So interesting to see. How many catches can Mark Andrews get in this game? We're going to put an X on him. Broke out a little bit. Had a few catches there. So we'll see how he does in this one as well. Marcus has struggled. Marcus has got to get it going. I think he's probably been their biggest liability back there in coverage. I think everybody else hasn't had great. Brandon Stevens pick it up maybe a little bit, but Marcus has really looked like it. I haven't really heard his name called running around. He's got such great range, etc. So definitely a lot of work to do there. 35-28 Ravens over the Commanders in this one. I think the Ravens should win this game. This is going to be points. They're going to a lot of these games they're going to be now. None of that. Maybe you get to the Steelers or the Squirrels, etc. But this is going to be points. I think two good offenses. You're going to enjoy this one. I think this is going to be similar to that. And I think the even though they have a good record, bit of a trap game. Maybe the Ravens got to make sure that they're not flat-footed in this one, playing a good team like the Commanders. There you go. All right. So definitely check out the game this weekend. Of course, we'll be doing an instant reaction after the game as well. So definitely check that out.